Hey guys, Art 17 once again, and we are in week 2, so it's just flying by. The semester is flying by, and I hope everyone has a chance to work on week 1 and then give that to me during this week sometime. I mean, it could be any time during the week, but it's best to turn each week's assignments in by the following week sometime, so that you don't get caught behind with 2 weeks and 3 weeks and whatnot. Okay? So send those to me so I can critique them. I'll give feedback. Maybe I want you to do a little more to it for a better grade. And then you would work on it and send it back for that better grade. All right, so we're in week 2 and assignment 3 right here, which is kitchen item from life. Well, what that means is anytime you do something in front of you that's sort of just items on a table, that's called a still life. I don't know why they don't call other things still life, but that are right in front of you. But that's the funny thing about art. If anybody has an answer to that, extra credit. But I'll show you some examples of that, and then number 4 we'll talk about on Wednesday, which is an upside down drawing. It isn't your choice of an upside down drawing. I will give you a drawing that you will put upside down. In fact, I think it comes to you upside down, and then you will print it out or just look at it on your computer screen, and you're going to draw it upside down. It's a right side of the brain versus left side of the brain experiment. So it's kind of a fun one. Anyway, it doesn't matter exactly how it turns out, but do your best job. And then the homework is drawing your own feet, which we will talk about on Wednesday. And if anybody has any questions about supplies or whatever, give me an email about that. I actually sent instructions on that. I think I talked about it before in the last emails. So if you have any questions about anything, ask as many times as you want. Okay? I don't get upset when somebody asks several times, because I was like that too, and I still am. So, kitchen item from life. Let's take a look at that. Well, here's some examples. Of course, I go to Bing because I like Bing better than Google. You want to go to Google, that's your choice. But Google Image or Bing Image will have images of whatever I'm talking about and whatever the assignments are. So here I'm putting in still life, kitchen items, drawings. And here's several, okay? What you want to be conscious of right away is that whatever you are drawing that is on a table and you're above it, there's what we call an lisp, which is an oval shape at the top of a jar or a glass or whatever it is, a bottle. And there's one at the bottom too. Don't just assume, well, that's on the straight table, so that's straight right there. No, you got to really look at it. You'll see that there is an lisp. We call it an lisp. Okay, so you want the lisp at the top and the bottom because the whole thing is round, right? It's round all the way to the bottom, so rounded sides anyway. And so when it hits the table, there's an lisp there. And if you look at all these examples, the same thing is true. There's an oval shape at the bottom too. That's usually even more pronounced, even wider, because the top is closer to your eye level. The bottom is further away from your eye level. So the lisp actually gets larger as it goes down. We're going to talk about lisps in another segment, another assignment, but just to heads you up, because you're going to see it. If you put jars or cups and apples and whatever on the table, I want several items, not one. Don't do one cup. Don't do this and send it to me. I want 2 or 3, and I'll send it back and say, hey, put 2 more in there, okay? Or something like this, garlic on the table or whatever. I want several things because you're working with a composition, placement of items that are interesting. One cup isn't very interesting. Okay, and even this is a good composition where the cup is sort of half hanging off the paper. Spoon too. It's a good composition. It's a good placement. It's interesting. It brings more thought than something just you know very very straight across where nothing's overlapping. That's another good one too, that you overlap things. You could do something like this, and you're putting utensils into a container and then the spoon on the table. Okay, so that's placement and items on the table. You want a little bit of a background too. I mean, this is extremely boring. It's sort of just floating there, right? As opposed to something like this, it has some sort of a background. This is much more interesting. So, the background is not that hard to do. Just to add some stuff in there, and then you're going to have your cast shadows. Of course, the light is coming from the back side, kind of the back left, to have cast shadows in the front going to the right. So one of the things you're going to be looking at and noticing is where your light source is coming from. Where are the cast shadows? Where are the shadows on your subjects? Shadow side and light side, where the reflection marks are. Lots of reflection marks in this stuff. That's the brightest areas. All around this thing. Okay, and it goes on and on. I mean, there are hundreds of examples here. I want you to set your own up. Everybody's got kitchen items, right? Well, set it up. Set it up on a table close to a window where you have a single light source. Or a lamp if it's dark outside or you don't have a window or whatever, then put a lamp on one side or the other. Straight down isn't going to do as much. I mean, you really want to create shape. So when you're creating shape, you're moving the light around somewhere where you're going to have cast shadows. You're going to have shadow side on this cup and light side on the other. Same with the handle. Look at the handle. It's got dark and lights to it. All the glass has reflection marks, which are very light. So when you're putting in your tone, you're going to go, mid-level, a little lighter, a little darker, mid-level, a little lighter than that, darker, mid-level, then a real light area, and then a dark area. And that's how you're shading. You're shading that way straight away. And then maybe you take your eraser and take tone out here and there where you want to make sure it looks exactly like what you're actually drawing. Okay? Even this has a bit of a background. Even it's very faint, but it has still a bit of a background. And it's kind of different, right? It starts light up here, kind of goes darker down here, a little darker here, a little lighter over here, right? So you can mix that up. Do you see the nice reflections on this bottle from the cup and the apple or whatever that is? Cue ball, whatever that is, a plum. I don't know what it is. But you see the reflections on the bottle? Hey, well, you set this stuff up and you're going to see it. Or maybe you just make it up. Yeah, I want more reflection on my bottle. I'm going to put that reflection in. Then you can do that. Okay? But notice where the light's coming from. This one's coming from the top right. You've got all these highlights on everything. And then you have the dark side, the dark shadow side. And a gradual transition between all of that. Light, dark, they all kind of gradual to a mid-tone in the middle somewhere. And then, so you just set something up, single light source, look at it for a while and notice where's the light, where's the shadow sides to everything, where's the highlights, where's the reflection marks. Okay, where's my cast shadow? Okay, what does the background look like? Now you can just blur in a background even though, something else is happening back there. You don't have to get detail about your background. You can just, even though what you're looking at has a detailed background, you don't have to put it in. But you do have to put some sort of tone in there, okay? You should, because it's going to help your, whatever you draw, come off the page a little bit more. When I say that, I'm talking about a three-dimensional appearance. That's what you're after, okay? Three-dimensional appearance. So put the background in. Even if it's just a little bit of a tone back there, it's going to help. It'll get rid of the white, and you don't want something floating in an abyss. You know, a bunch of items sort of floating there are not placed. They're not grounded on a table or anything. They're just sort of floating. So there's here a lot of examples here, you know, tons. And you could pick this out and put it together, but I want that shading, and I want the light source, and I want the background, I want the cast shadows on the table. All right, so get working on that one. Send me what you do have this week, and we'll start critiquing it and getting back to you with feedback and suggestions. Or maybe you did a really good job, and I'll say, hey, good job, thank you. When I say good job, thank you, hey, that looks great, thank you, that means you got a good grade. And you can ask about grades anytime, okay? The reason I don't post them on Canvas is because you have the potential to get a better grade all the time. And at the end, we'll talk about grades, and I talk about them individually with you anyway. And be in the midterm area, I'll be sending you a heads up on your grades and what you haven't turned in and what you did turn in and where your grade is. I'll be communicating with you on that all the time, and toward the end too. So when we got 3 weeks left or something, yeah, you're going to hear from me a lot about where you are on the grade. So, but you could ask anytime, and I'll let you know. All right, let's get started on that. Any questions, let me know, and we'll have another video on Wednesday.